Let them judge you, because judgment just has one job, just one, to find a place in you that doesn't fully believe in yourself yet. That's it. That's the whole point. And I love to use this metaphor. Judgment doesn't force its way in. First it knocks, and if there is nothing to answer, it walks straight past. But if there is someone opening the door, it comes in and it will sit right there with you. Like, think about the last time someone said something about your life, your choices, about who you are. Did it land? Because if it did, if it stayed with you, if it made you question yourself, part of you agreed. Not all of you, and also maybe not consciously, but somewhere deep here, there was a part of you who was already asking the same question, who was already judging yourself. And what we usually do then, we go outward with that. We start to explain, we start to prove, we start to defend ourselves. But if you ask me, that's the wrong direction, because judgment doesn't stick on its own. It needs something to catch on, a hook. And the only reason it catches is because there's already something inside of you that's bent. And that's a place that hasn't fully settled yet. A belief maybe you're holding on to, which was actually never yours. And that's all it is, because otherwise it wouldn't stick here with you. So the real work isn't managing what other people say, but it's about straightening the hook. So when we use judgment as a mirror, it is showing you exactly where you haven't fully rooted in your truth yet. What I've learned is that every place it lands and sticks, it's a part of you that it's still waiting for permission to exist. Maybe a limiting belief you picked up somewhere along the way that isn't even yours. And the moment you see it that way, judgment stops being something that happens to you. It becomes something that happens for you. Let's get a little bit personal, because when people around me started judging my path, I won't pretend it didn't hurt, it did, but I never questioned myself, because I already had made the decision to commit to my truth. Not the truth I was taught, not the beliefs I inherited from my upbringing, my environment, the people around me, but the truth I found when I started asking the real question. Like, is this actually mine? Is this really my truth, or was this handed to me? Because there is a difference, I believe a massive difference, between the truth that was taught to you and the truth that was lived by you. And I started unlearning slowly, and it was uncomfortable, questioning everything I thought I knew about God, about myself, about what it means to live right. And this was not a fight against myself. This was genuinely asking myself the questions. And it was not to destroy my beliefs, but it was to find out which ones were actually true to me. And the more I committed to that path, even while people were judging, the more I started to hear something. And that was a quiet voice, my inner guidance, my own knowing. And that is where I started to collect my evidence. And I'm telling this and I'm sharing this with you because I think you can relate to this. Maybe you know what I mean. Maybe you're in that place right now where something inside of you knows. Where you feel a truth you cannot fully explain yet. Where people in your life don't understand the path you're on. And maybe you were taught, like so many of us, a version of God, a version of truth, a version of yourself that was someone else's, not yours. And now you're asking, what is actually mine? That question, that one right there, is not doubt. That is the beginning of real knowing. Because what's the point of believing in someone else's truth, right? You become so easy to pull off your own path. One judgment, one opinion, one person who doesn't trust or understands you, and you collapse. But when you commit to your own truth, your own way of knowing God, yourself, life, something starts to build inside of you. And that is evidence, my friend. Not from the outside, but from within. And that's power. My evidence was my inner peace. The ability to trust life. To move with what comes instead of breaking against it. To live from love instead of fear. To know who I am. Not perfectly, not completely, because God, I'm not there, but without confusion. And that knowing, nobody gave it to me. I build it brick by brick, by committing, by asking, by refusing to live someone else's truth. And that is what judgment cannot touch, because you cannot shake someone who has evidence, real evidence, lived evidence. And you cannot argue someone out of something they weren't there for. They weren't there, but you were. And do you know that most of the time it's not even about you? It really isn't, because every person who has ever judged you did that from their own window, their own fear, their own ceiling. If I judge someone else, it says a lot about me. If you judge someone else, it says a lot about you. If someone judges you for being too much, they are probably terrified of their own desire to be more. If someone in your family looks at your life and says, "Who do you think you are?" or "What are you doing?" That's their ceiling, not yours. And of course, there is feedback, and feedback will help you to grow. But when people are judging, and the people whose judgment hits really hardest or are really hard with their judgments, they are usually the ones furthest away from their own truth. And when they see you're living yours, something in them gets uncomfortable. And that is not because you did something wrong, but because you reminded them, you mirrored them a version of themselves they gave up on. And I know that's not an excuse for what they did or what they say, but that's just the truth of it. And that's where you can have a little bit of compassion, maybe. That's at least how it works for me, compassion. And then realizing and knowing the difference between an excuse and a truth, that is actually what sets you free. And you know that you've shifted when you stop needing anyone to understand. Because there is no one to convince when you are already convinced. Sit with that. Because real conviction doesn't need approval. It doesn't need people to say, "Okay, yeah, I get it." It just is. And you decide that. And after deciding that, you start to build it. Through every moment, you stay true to your truth. Even though it was hard to commit to yourself, you just knew that it was your time to follow your path, where you started to commit to who you are. That's the moment you choose that, through the quiet commitment of not abandoning yourself anymore. And maybe you are in it right now, and that is okay. But I want to tell you this, because the dark is not the end. It is where the root grows deeper. Keep committing, keep asking, keep choosing your truth, even when nobody around you understands it yet. Because every time you do, you collect evidence. And one day, not because someone told you, not because the judgment just stopped, you will just know. And nothing they say will be able to touch it. So let them judge, let them talk, because judgment can only catch on a hook. And yours is straightening. So let them judge. I hope my video resonates. This is one of the biggest shifts I've experienced. Rooting in my truth, sharing my truth. People will judge, but I don't care. I'm committed to my truth. And if you want to go deeper, I recorded a video about rejection. Let them reject you. If you want to make a powerful shift in that one as well, this video is for you. With that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Stay aligned, and until the next one. Bye-bye.